The awareness I would like for you to have from this lesson is feel into reality. Whatever situation you are in, feel into reality. Ask yourself, what is actually happening? Is this ego selfing right now? Am I assuming right now? What is actually happening right now? Not in time, not in the future, not in the past, right now. What is actually happening? Ask yourself, who am I? It's a great exercise to meditate upon. To ask yourself, who am I? And meditate on that. See what comes up. Feel how the ego is selfing about who you are. How much of that is actually true? And how much is just assumptions happening? I would also like for you to notice when you're in fantasy and when you're in reality, how much of your everyday is spent in fantasy. And fantasy is everything that you assume about. How much is actually spent there? And how much is spent in reality, what really is? That is not tied into time. It's not tied into the future, not tied into the past. It's just what is right now. How much of your day is spent in fantasy and how much is spent in reality? All these things are questions that I would like for you to take up, either with a group or with your guide. And also notice, when is selfing happening? When is the ego selfing? Is there a special theme that you have? That when that happens, then you go into selfing. Then you assume an I, and then you're really locked into the assumption of an I. And then selfing is happening. You are in the middle. Something in the future is happening. Something in the past did happen. You are in the middle and you are selfing. When is that happening? What theme do you have in your life where that is happening a lot? Write it down. All the things that you're writing down, you don't need to sit and be clever about it. You don't need to censor it at all. Just write it down. Just write it down. Whatever comes up, just write it down. I would like for you to question if an opinion can ever be true. How do you know that an opinion is true? And can an opinion ever be true? I would like for you to question if you can keep your response only to what is said and not to what you think you hear is said. And I would also like for you to question, how do you know the difference? How do you know that there is a difference between what is said and what you think you hear is said? Listen to this lesson as many times as you need to. Do not be caught up in the thought that the first lesson is only for the first week. It's not. Don't be delusional. It's not. You are going to come back to this lesson and hear it over and over and over again. You can even create a group with friends where you're working with it and when you listen to it again and again and again. Just because that this is lesson 1 does not mean that it is lower with the content of anything else that you're going to hear in any other lessons from any of the other fetters. Don't be deluded. It's not like that. The information in this lesson is just as relevant when you're in the first fetter as when you are in the 5th fetter or in the 8th fetter or the 10th fetter. You can listen to this teaching as many times as you need to. Every single time you hear it, you're going to hear something else and you're going to experience something really strange. You're going to experience that a lot of things you have never heard me say before. You have never ever, you might have listened to this recording 10 times. And the 10th time you listen to it, you hear me say something and it's the first time you have ever heard me say that. You will swear that is how it is. It's because of how our brain is, that you can only understand on the level of your understanding. If you ask a 2-year-old, do you want an ice cream or do you want 100 pounds? The 2-year-old is going to ask for the ice cream. They don't know how many ice creams they can actually buy for 100 pounds. You haven't got the information to understand what I'm actually saying until you're at a different age, until you're at a different point in your understanding. which means that you can listen to this recording over and over and over, and every single time you're going to hear something new. When you think you have heard all of it, when you might have made transcripts of all of it and you have made inquiries to every single thing, leave it, listen to it again in 6 months, and you will see. Because the development you have made in that period will lead you to a point where when you listen to the recording, it's going to be completely different. So, and the last final thing I want to say is thank you for doing this. Thank you for doing this. I don't mean listening to me, and I don't mean doing Fetter work in this way, but thank you for doing Fetter work. Your effort in what you're doing, the ripple effect of what you're doing, it's massive. When you realize that there's nothing, there's no selfing happening, there's no separate I, you're going to find that you will be different in your life. The way that you view yourself and the way that you view other people is going to be completely different. The work that you do, it might feel like it's something very private and very local that is happening, but it's not. It's not. The ripple effects that you have with understanding that there are no enemies, that there's nobody against you at any point, and that you are not better than anyone. Nobody's better than you at any point. When you really realize that, the insight that you're going to have is having a global effect. So I really would like to thank you for doing this work. I really would like to thank you for doing Fetter work. Well done. I'm really happy about that. Thank you.